Welcome to the Dare to Share Challenge. I am so excited to have you with us, and we have another incredible guest with us today. If you've just stumbled across this show and you're wondering what it's all about, let me tell you, you are in for a ride. The Dare to Share Challenge is part of the Real and the Raw Leaders movement. What is that? It's pulling back the curtains. It's removing all of these smoke and mirrors, all of the facades, all of these toxic success stories, yes, I said it, and showcasing the human behind the perception. Why? So that you know that everyone that you look up to is experiencing exactly the same things as you behind the scenes. They just don't generally share it until now. So welcoming to the stage the beautiful Kylie and Nell.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and honored to be here and being a part of this movement. I think it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, and I'm so honoured to have you with us. And before we dive in, on that note, I would love to ask you what made you say yes to coming on this show? Because for a lot of people, they support it, they love it, but coming on it is a step too far. But you were like, I'm there, let's go. What was it that made you be that courageous?
So I believe that if you want to create change, you have to lead first. And a lot of what we'll be talking about tonight is like a huge proponent of the conversation that I want to have. And I put up on a group that we're part of together saying, how do I heal the visibility wound? Because I realized I had it. And since that, I've done a lot of healing and things have shifted immensely. But you were like, you came into my world, you're like, this is what I actually help people with. And I started seeing what you're doing from the outside. And when you invited me, I was like, oh, I'm being invited. This is cool. Let's jump in. And yeah, there were no questions to be asked. It was just a whole yes feeling. And I also really trust my human design instincts. So I was all for it.
I love that. And the divine synchronicity of you had been watching and then I suddenly approached you kind of out of nowhere. I love that. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
She's ready. Let's go. So before we get into the big questions, let's check out which level of vulnerability you're opting for today. So we have two levels that Kylie can choose from. We have the stretchy level, which is your hero's journey. It's your story. It's your trials and tribulations, the things that you've overcome and you've got to the other side and you've learnt the lessons and now you help others through sharing that. And that's a valuable experience to share. Or we have the extreme level, and this is all about sharing something that you're navigating, that you're experiencing, that you're going through right now in real time behind the scenes. You've not yet mastered it. You've not yet come out the other side. You don't even know what the lesson's going to be, but you're in it and you're willing to share it. Where do you want to take us today?
Extreme. If you're going to do something, dive all in.
I love it. And when leaders come onto this show and they go extreme, for me, I always get that flutter because I can see that they're pushing their own edge. They're stretching their own level of vulnerability to really showcase their leadership to all of you watching. So you want to stick around and watch this. Okay, are you ready for the questions?
Ready for the questions.
Let's go. So question number one is, what does being a real and a raw leader mean to you? And we're not just talking about in business, okay? That's boring. We're talking about the human. We're talking about the woman, the individual, the person that is Kylie behind the scenes who has a life that a lot of your people won't be privy to from the online space. So that realness and that rawness, what does it really mean to you in your everyday world?
It means overcoming the victimhood that you subscribe to and leading yourself first in all areas of your life. And I'm currently a mom to 2 under 2, 3 months postpartum. And that means I have been cracked open a lot over the last 3 years. My soul feels like it's been laid bare for all to see. And parenthood, building a business simultaneously, being a wife in a foreign country because we are originally from South Africa, living in Dublin now, doing all of that means that you lead yourself in every area of your life, whether it's doing the fucking laundry or whether it's showing up to something like this or building your business or dealing with a 2-year-old, having a meltdown, you lead yourself first. And I've had to overcome a lot of victimhood to be doing that.
Oh, I love that. And do you know, even what Kylie said then about whether it's doing the laundry or growing your business, because we just forget that these people that we look up to, just like Kylie, like everyone that comes onto this show, they have a normal life. They do the normal things that we all do. And we seem to just forget that in all of the online space. And so I love that. That's really beautiful. Now, are you ready for the big question?
Yeah.
She's ready. Okay. So what are you willing to dare to share with us all today, Kylie?
Definitely victim mentality and how I keep having to pull myself out, but also what I'm noticing in the industry. So I was deeply thinking and contemplating this topic before I jumped on, and this quote from myself came to me, which is, just because you're on the right path doesn't mean that the path isn't going to be challenging. And I think that we've over glamorized the coaching industry of like, we just need to manifest and hashtag visualize and just follow your human design chart and everything's going to work out. And we expect the journey of building a business to be easy, and it's not. It's the deepest self-development journey you will ever go on. And we hear about all these amazing people, and it's not to invalidate them in any way. I think what they're achieving is incredible, but we hear, oh, I've just achieved 100K month, and then you go away and you go sulky Sue and you go, oh, well, it's not, I'm not. It's because you're not fucking doing the right things, or you're not being good enough at what you're trying to do. And you want to blame and you want to complain about it, but what are you actually doing to change the narrative? And I realized that I was very much in a Debbie Downer kind of place, and I was blaming my circumstance of always being pregnant or always being a mom, like that whole story and that narrative of raising two under two was becoming my story. And I was like, this can either become the reason I don't or the reason that I do. And I had to make a decision. And my husband had even said to me, I can see that your business is really stressing you out. You know, you could always get a job. And that terrified the shit out of me, that somebody would say that to me, because I was like, no, I'm an entrepreneur. And that caused like a huge ego death, because my ego fought for everything that was not right about that sentence. Okay. And so I was like, I have a decision to make. What am I going to do in this moment? And I realized that I have the power within me to change how the story ends. And so I woke up one day, and I think it was like a Thursday. It wasn't like the beginning of the month. It wasn't the beginning of the week. It was a random Thursday. I think it was the 28th of May. And I was like, I'm only 3.5 weeks postpartum. And if I am going to lead women to have the enriched life that I empower them to have, then, well, I need to do this, and I need to do it for myself more than anyone. And so I started a challenge, and it's a 365 days to growing to $100,000 whilst raising two under two and doing the laundry and all the normal everyday shit that a mom has to do. And that has pulled me so far out of the victim mentality, because I was like, if I sit back and I complain about my circumstances and I don't do anything to change it, then I'm part of the problem. And I'm trying to change the problem, but if I'm not being the leader, how am I meant to change it? And so I put my money where my mouth is. And I've always done that with everything that I've always stood for, in which, because my niches have changed and evolved over time. I've been in business since 2018. And having this change and having this like more, I would say, grown up approach, because becoming a mom was a thing that matured me in ways that you cannot describe unless you've become a mom yourself, which I know you would resonate with. And there were so many shatterings of identities in that process. And to be able to then say, okay, well, what is it that I want to empower women to do? And it's no longer this fluffy, like, I'm going to help you manifest energy. And I believe that there's also a place for that energy too, because I used to be that coach. And I'm so grateful that I was that coach, because it helped so many people see that there are different possibilities for them. And I now needed to be the embodied leader of going, my circumstance doesn't determine where I'm going. My circumstances don't determine my success. My circumstances can be changed. And there was a moment where I was looking at my babies, and this gives me goosebumps and it actually makes me emotional. But I was looking at my babies and I was going, how blessed am I to be able to live a life where I do get to create my own abundance and give them the best possibilities. And my heart breaks for women that don't have that, for women that may be in abusive relationships, for women that can't give themselves opportunities. And I want to change that narrative. And even though I don't have that situation, I was blaming my circumstances of being a mom to two under two, not having time to work on my company for hours on end. And I was like, that is still a situation that I felt trapped by. And I don't want women for a single second to be trapped by their circumstances. And how do I change that? I go first. And that is something that I'm still actively working through, because there are days when he's like 22 months now. My 22 months old baby is getting all his emotions. It's tantrums after tantrums, and I know it's big emotions, and I've had to become so emotionally resilient and regulate my nervous system for those moments. And I've also got a 3-month-old that is very needy. He's a projector baby, and so he's very needy. And I wear him basically, but I wear him around all the time. But I've created a business that supports this stage of my life, and I'm trying to show women that anything is possible, and it's not going to be easy either. And that's okay that it's not easy. But if you choose to complain about it, or if you choose to blame others about it, then the freedom that you're seeking is creating a victim out of you. And that's even one of the gene keys. It's the 55th gene key, and it's a whole paradigm shift that we're moving into as well. And I think that this is why we're seeing so many people in the coaching industry going, actually, this is what it's taking to get me to where I'm going. This is the unveiling that we're doing in this movement. This is why we're seeing so many people, and me included, burning down their companies to change it and to shift. And I know you've done the same. And I let go of a huge Instagram following and was like, fuck it. And that's also been an ego death and victim, because there's people that come in and they're like, oh, cute, have you just started your business? I'm like way longer than you have. And actually, I have so much more success. So let's chat. Do you want to work with me?
Oh my God, I resonate with that so much. Just, that whole Instagram thing of everyone perceiving you due to the amount of followers you have. Like, when did that become a thing? Like, when does that dictate how successful you are or you aren't in business? That's crazy. But wow, this is so powerful and so real and so raw, and I can resonate so much with everything that you're talking about. You know, the being the mum, the being trapped in that identity. I mean, you touched upon DV relationships. I mean, I was in a DV relationship for 15 years, and it keeps you trapped. It keeps you stuck in this victim mentality of, this is my situation and this is who I am now. Maybe you want for more. I wanted for more. I wanted for different. But until you actually take that action, like you said, Kylie, and do something about it, you are a victim to your own circumstance.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the harshest but most liberating things you can hear, is that, oh my God, like, nobody likes to be told that they're the victim. And I call myself on this daily, because I would say I'm a lot more evolved in this identity. But there was a part of me that was once like, but am I a stay-at-home mom? Because stay-at-home moms can't do this. And I think being a stay-at-home mom is the fucking hardest job in the world. Because I love the fact, I said to my husband the other day, I was like, what's hard is raising two under two and growing a business simultaneously. But what would be harder for me is not having my business, because I don't then have an escape. And that is something that like really just shifted something inside of me, because I'm like, I get to do this. And I'm so excited when Monday rolls around and I'm like, woohoo, let's go into Telegram. I can't wait to like give my clients value. And it's just, there's so much passion and drive behind this. But I think so many people are very much in the victim mentality in the industry as well. And it's kind of just like, but I visualized and I said my affirmations 150 times and I don't have this success, but why? And it's like, well, how are you leading yourself? Are you telling yourself that you're going to go to gym and then you just don't go? Because that counts to your embodiment, and that's what your clients see energetically. They may not know that you didn't go to gym, but energetically they know, are you a woman of your word? Are you being impeccable to yourself? How are you treating yourself? And that goes through like, how is your husband treating you? How are your kids treating you? All of those things. And we want to, and it's human nature, and I get this, because when it hurts, you want to lash out. And it's so easy to go, but it's them, and it's my clients, and it's my audience that I have, and it's all of those things. And I think that burning down your Instagram following has been such a beautiful journey too. And I know you've had people talking about similar sorts of things, but it's been such a beautiful journey because your ego really gets revealed at how the vanity metrics do play a huge part in your identity of, well, I'm successful now because I've got like X amount of followers. But no, are you really that successful if you can't stand behind what you preach and teach to a small audience too? And it's been such an interesting journey.
I love this so much, and I think there's so much power in a rebirth because, like you're saying, Kylie, it's in that how much can you get behind it when there's nothing giving you external validation, right? Like if you haven't got clients because you've pivoted and you've started again, you've rebirthed, you've rebuilt from the ground up again, and there's no one there at the moment. Like how you carry yourself through that time as you're growing, and you have to let go of your past success that you've had, that past identity, those past vanity metrics, and say, you know what, this is me now. And it doesn't mean that I'm not successful now, but I'm also at the beginning again.
And with that, there's been a very interesting thing that's also happened, which is I ate humble pie, a lot of it, but I also then ate too much humble pie and gave my power away of like, oh, I'm a beginner again.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten about everything I built. And that was also interesting to navigate because there was a moment very recently where I was like, oh my God, I do know what it takes to build a multiple six-figure company because I've done it before.
Yes.
And I was saying to myself, well, that's not my situation right now. And I've eaten humble pie and I'm so morally ethical, blah, 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 to try and be like the good person of the industry, which was also giving my power away. And so there's a very fine line where you have to realize like, no, take your power back. Don't dim your light to fit into the box of the beginner anymore. It's you're the evolved person starting on a new pathway at the beginning of a different journey, but it's not that you're a beginner.
Yeah, because you've still got all those lessons and all that evolvement that you've done previously, right? I did exactly the same thing, like got caught into that trap of, well, I can't talk about my past success because that's not the business I'm building now. That I haven't done that in this business. And then, like you say, you give that power away and you become again a victim to your own circumstance of where you believe that you should be. But really what you're doing is dimming your light and kind of trying to play it safe because you don't want to offend anyone or mislead anyone. But in reality, I believe, and Kylie, I would love your thoughts on this, showcasing that vulnerability of where you are now whilst talking about your past success and your past accolades. That's amazing. We love to hear that. But it's that tightrope walk, like you say, that fine line of saying, this is what I've done. This is what happened. This is the moment. This is where I am now. And this is where I'm going. And if we can showcase that really, truly vulnerably and pull back those curtains, that for me is where the most power is for other people.
Totally. And I think that something I'm talking about a lot in my mastermind that I run is being authentic, but being authentic with integrity, because I think that a lot of people have also blurred the lines and crossed what authenticity actually means. And I think a lot of people think that being authentic means being a dick. And I don't know where we got the message of doing that, but I see it so often. And it's like, oh, but that's just authentically me. And I'm like, no, you can do authenticity from what would love do? And that's where I always go back to is what would love do? Because there is a part of me that can be very masculine in how I pull myself out of my victim mentality. And that's how I need to be coached by myself, which is no, girl, we don't do this no more. That is an old story. That is an old paradigm. But then it's also to go, because there's certain clients that I work with that don't need that approach. They need a more nurturing, loving approach. And it's to then also bring, but what would love do in this situation? So I think that there is a way of doing authenticity and doing it in integrity. And I think we've gotten confused between the difference between alignment, authenticity, and integrity. And when we can understand what those three things mean, which are all very different things, alignment is just that you're going from point A to point B. That's it. It just means that you're on the road, you're going. Are you being authentic about it? Are you being true to yourself in how you're going from point A to B? And are you in integrity with your mission? And that is, are you doing it from this place of, I am doing it from love? And I think that that's another conversation.
Another piece of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. This is so powerful. And I know you guys watching, I would definitely recommend you to watch this again, because there are so many golden nuggets that even I've written down from this conversation. Kylie, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your real and your raw leadership and your vulnerability and really showcasing your human behind the perception. Can you please tell everyone where they can find you and how they can get in your incredible world?
So you can follow me at Mind Your Hero on Instagram, is where I hang out the most. I'm dabbling in TikTok at the moment, but at Mind Your Hero there too. I have a Facebook group, which is Manifest with Human Design. But Instagram. Find me on Instagram.
Keep it easy, Instagram. And the links will be below, so don't panic. If you're busy, if you're out doing something, you can come back, click on the link, go get in Kylie's world. She's an absolute powerhouse. You need to be over there. And until next time, I will see you all on the Dead Share Challenge tomorrow. Bye for now.